أهلا وسهلا فيكم متابعينا بحلقة خاصة من برنامج يلا مع مارك كريمزاده، وهو المحرر ومدير التواصل بمجلس مصممي الأزياء الأميركيين. معه حنكتشف رحلته المهنية المميزة ورسالة وأهداف مجلس مصممي الأزياء الأميركيين، وكمان حنتطرق اليوم لكيفية تأثير السياسة والقضايا الاجتماعية على عالم الأزياء، خاصة بعد أحداث 7 أكتوبر وتداعياتها. وكمان حنناقش سبل استخدام فن الأزياء الراقي لتعزيز السلام والتعايش بدلاً من استغلاله لتعميق الانقسامات. انضموا لنا لتشوفوا كيف يمكن للأزياء أن تكون جسر للتفاهم بين الثقافات المختلفة. يلا. Thank you so much for joining me today, Mark Krimzade, on the Yalla Show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Could you start by telling us a bit about your background and how it has been in basically shaping your perspective in the fashion industry, being from a mixed background?
I am half Iranian and half German. I grew up in a very, very Persian-centric household. We spoke Farsi at home. We celebrated Persian cultures. I'm also Jewish. My father came from a Jewish community in Mashhad, Iran. And so that also has had a significant impact on who I am today, in addition to the European upbringing. My cultural background has given me a passion for creative fields, whether it's, Persian carpets, which my father was trading in, or, the beauty of sort of ancient Persia and its colors and its sort of dresses. That has really helped me discover and tap into my love for the fashion industry and how dress informs who we are and what we, express.
As the editorial and communications director at CFDA, which is a very prestigious institution, what do you see as the core mission of your organization, and how do you contribute to achieving this mission?
At the CFD, our core mission is to promote creativity and the work of our designers in America. As such, we work on everything that is important to our designer membership, and that ranges from creativity, like I said, but also social impact programs, helping become the industry more diverse, to celebrate the current fashion industry, but also cultivate the future of American fashion.
You come from a Persian, German, and Jewish backgrounds. How has your mixed culture and heritage influenced your approach to your work in general?
I think given my background, it's really important to bring multiple voices to our industry. I think that culturally it's important not to look at it through one singular lens, but to explore different backgrounds and different kinds of people and creative voices to really enrich our industry, to make fashion richer and stronger and better, because we can only be in a strong industry if we represent all different kinds of voices and all different kinds of backgrounds. We have American designers, we have Asian American designers, we have people who come from European backgrounds, we have some Middle Eastern designers, and I think that's something that we need to grow because that'll make our industry stronger and better.
Now, let's go to something that is very current, and we cannot have this conversation and not talk about it, which is the post-October 7th massacre. There was many things that we've seen happen in our country here in the United States post this massacre. And one of the things that we've seen in the fashion industry specifically was politicization that happened, which is something that you usually don't see when it comes to an art like fashion. I mean, you probably know if this has happened in the past, but how do you see those events and their impact on the fashion industry today?
I think what's been very interesting and also very discouraging was that as soon as this horrendous attack happened on October 7th, there were voices within the fashion industry who expressed not necessarily support, but tried to put these into context and blaming Israelis for their treatment of Palestinians for this attack. And that was very disheartening for an industry that claims to be so inclusive. And what this led to was a lot of negativity towards not just Israel, but also towards Jewish designers and Jewish people. And our Jewish designers were very, very concerned about how this could play out and how this could easily become, a call for anti-Semitism, a sort of a move into anti-Semitic tropes. And I think that that was something that we at the CFDA took very seriously. I mean, within a week of the attack on October 7th, we've had designers reach out to us and said, you have to speak out. You have to speak out against anti-Semitism. It is very important that what happened on October 7th will not be cast in a way that Israelis and Israeli Jews will be blamed for it. And that was something that was very important to me personally, but also to the fashion community at large.
Yeah, and there were incidents where Jewish and Israeli fashion designers faced basically either losing opportunities, losing jobs. Can you tell us more about these incidents, and what do you think the right response should be in such situations?
Well, I think that there were some designers who spoke out very vocally about what happened, and perhaps focused on Hamas and the atrocities. And I feel that they were, there was a big barrage of criticism of that from the worldwide social media, police, as I like to call them. And they were dropped from some of their stores, but eventually their businesses were reinstated. I think that whatever we say and whatever we do, we have to come from a point of humanity. That is something that I personally feel very, very strongly about. If you look at this conflict that has been going on for decades and centuries between Arabs and Jews, Israelis and Palestinians, no matter what side we're on, we have to look at the other and look at their humanity and understand where they come from, practice empathy, and acknowledge trauma. We have to do that on both sides. We have to acknowledge each other's generational trauma in this conflict. Only then can we move forward and to something that is more positive.
But we did see also the use of anti-Israel fashion statements, and that fashion could, have powerful statements. What do you think of these statements, and especially that some of them, people would argue that are pro-Hamas in their messaging?
As someone with deep ties to the state of Israel personally, I look at some of the statements and I'm very disheartened by them. There was the keffiyeh, which has been a symbol for Palestinian resistance. It can be triggering to some people, but I also think we need to find ways to just come together and speak to one another. And it's not one or the other, because no one's going away from this region. We have to find ways to communicate with one another.
This is exactly what we believe in Yalla, is basically that we want to bring people together, and it is important that we see the humanity in each other. We also covered Hot and Holy fashion event, which was organized by fashion icon and CEO of the House of Faith and Fashion, Toby Rubenstein. This unique forum brought together designers from diverse faiths, ethnicities, including Jewish and Muslim talents. Why are we not seeing more of these types of fashion forums, events, where you could use this beautiful form of art to promote peace, coexistence, and stand against violence and extremism?
I wish there was more of what Toby does, because bringing together different voices from different faiths in a peaceful, coexisting environment that is safe for everyone is exactly what we need in the industry. Finding ways to celebrate cultures and finding ways to bring in people from outside those cultures in, so that they understand who we are, we understand who they are, and we come together and proverbially break bread, as they say. Because that's the only way we can go forward, is to really sort of understand and celebrate each other's cultures.
Absolutely. And the CFDA also recently set up an anti-Semitism committee. Can you tell us more about what prompted its creation, and what does it aim to achieve, especially at this time?
Well, I think what we do at the CFD, and we work very closely with our counterparts, is to really monitor the anti-Semitism in our industry. And when we see something, we need to be aware of it. We need to make people aware of it. We just want to make sure that there's no hate speech of any form in our industry, whether it's targeting Jews, whether it's targeting Muslims, whether it's targeting people of color, whether it's targeting Asian designers. There should be no hate speech and no hate, period, in our industry. And I think that is very important. And I think, specifically to anti-Semitism, I mean, that is something that I'm personally very passionate about, but it's just one of many things. I feel that our industry should not allow for any kind of hate or discrimination. We created a program called CFDA Impact, which is really about elevating and lifting the voices of people of color. I think that is something that we can extend to all minority groups in our industry, because we should be able to lift them and empower them to pursue their dreams, just like I did, a little kid from, with Persian background, with an Iranian background on one side, a German background on the other, dreaming on my desk in Hamburg, Germany, where I grew up, about the American fashion industry, about being at the center of fashion. And here I am, all these years later, having had the opportunity to break through. Yeah. I shouldn't be an anomaly. I should be the norm. Everyone should be able to have that opportunity if they dream to be in this industry, regardless of where they come from, regardless of which God they believe in, or which ethnicity they have.
Absolutely. And this is also what our country is all about. It's about people coming together. I wanted to ask you, Mark, just if you have a message to share with our audience in the Middle East, North Africa, before we conclude, in regards to your mission at CFDA and what you believe is very important to say.
We cannot forget that we're all brothers and sisters, that we all have humanity, that we all believe in the humanity of others. And once we've established that, we need to come together. And we need to collaborate, because if we don't collaborate, if we war and if we fight and if we yell at each other, we're not going anywhere. We need to talk to one another, we need to empathize, and we need to understand each other, and we need to hold hands. And basically, we're going to create a stronger fashion industry with that in mind.
On this beautiful note, I wanted to thank you for your time today, and I hope to see you again in the future.
I'm very honored to speak to you, and I'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon for sure.